Okay, so we are up the stepladder again, top of the half width. So we have Sweat and Soap 1 to 11, and that is complete. Very much like Sweat and Soap. I do feel I got a little bored in the middle. I feel like it could have been a couple of volumes shorter, but I'd have also taken an extra couple of volumes after they get married. Yeah, to spoil it, it's on the cover though, so Kodansha are the ones that have spoilt it, not me. But do like Sweat and Soap. I remember reading Volume 1 and then ordering Volume 2 and then learnt that that was all that was out in English and I was so sad. I like talking about Sweat and Soap because I feel it's one of those series that doesn't meet the demographic that you think it is. Everyone assumes it's a josei, but actually it's a seinen, to sort of reinforce that demographics don't actually mean anything about the content of a series, which I just find interesting. Okay, next we have Sweetness and Lightning 1 to 3 and 7. So I think 2, 3 and 7 were either second hand or half price on Blackwell's. It's about I think a single dad, I can't remember if he's widowed or not, and a young daughter, and they make food together. Very sweet, and they kind of, I think the dad's a teacher, and there's a girl in his class who doesn't spend much time with her parents, and he starts spending time with her outside of school alongside his daughter, and it's meant to be quite sweet and wholesome. I don't think this one's meant to get weird, like potentially other ones like Beauty and the Feast, but I did find it a little slow, a little dull. It was very light and heartwarming, but not really much happened. It was just nice. Also lots of food. If you like reading about food and manga, there's lots of food in it. Next we have a whole bunch of Sword Art Online. So we have Sword Art Online Girls Ups 1 and 2, Sword Art Online Hollow Realization 4 and 5, Mother's Rosary 1, we go down a shelf, Aincrad, and I think that's complete at 1, I'm not too clear. Caliber, same again, I think it's complete at 1, I'm not sure. Fairy Dance 1 to 3, I think might be complete. And then Sword Art Online Progressive 1 to 7, which is kind of complete-ish. So of all these Sword Art Onlines, the only ones I have read is Progressive, which is kind of a retelling of the beginning of the game about Kirito and Asuna going in the game and progressing. I believe more volumes have been printed, but it's got a subtitle. So in my eyes, I treat that as a new series. I don't know if it continues on from the end of Volume 7, because I've not read it yet. It was quite interesting. Things are different. The personalities of the characters are a bit more different as well, and they kind of pair up quite quickly. I can't remember how quickly they do it in the anime. So I've had these volumes for such a long time, like probably 4 or 5 years maybe, which is long for me. Did quite enjoy it though. There were some really strange drawings from the artist in the back of the book around Asuna's feet. And next we have Taboo Tattoo Volume 10. It's a series that had been on my want to try, and Blackwell's had a volume for $2.99, so I was like, let's just grab it. I've seen some more pop up secondhand, so that's probably a series I'll try and pick up this year at some point. Next we have Takane and Hana 1 to 13 and 14 to 18. So this is a series complete. This, I actually quite enjoyed it. I feel like it's one of the few age gap series I've read where you can you actually do see the development of the romance. They don't start out completely like head over heels. They kind of start out kind of annoyed at each other, but they're very similar characters even though there is an age gap, and I just feel like you do see that progression. I also quite like the humour. I like the whole silly Takane baby face thing, and also the weird pointy nose. Even though I hate pointy chins. I just hate chins. Even though I'm weird about pointy chins, I think pointy nose is funny. So I have the limited edition volume 18, which has... Oh, it's tight, it's snug. Which has Hana carrying Takane. Now, I actually wanted the regular version because I wanted to be able to see the dress. But it took ages for the regular version to pop up in the UK in stores, and I opted to pick this one up because it was also slightly discounted, so it actually didn't make much difference. And you got some bonus sequel stories, like post them getting married and what happens after that, which I realise is all spoilers, by the way. Oh, I can't easily get back in. I'm just going to put it here for now. Okay, next we have Tales of Wedding Rings 1 to 5, 7 and 8. This is obviously behind. I think there's like 10 volumes of this out at the moment. It is an isekai. A guy makes friends with a neighbourhood girl, and in their teenage years she is like, yeah, I have to leave now, I'm going by, and he's like, no, I will accept that. Chases after her, runs through a portal, he's in another world, and she's literally about to be married. Like, she is literally just walked from her high school in her high school uniform into this other world, into a church, and she's walking down the aisle to the guy to get married. And it's like, whoa, hang on. Almost at the exact same time the guy goes through the portal, some enemies attack. There's a whole bunch of quick, marry the guy. And then the friend runs up and is like, no, marry me, I guess. And she's like, yeah, okay, and gives him a ring. And apparently giving him this ring and her love gives him lots of power. And he now has a goal of he needs to travel around and marry all of the maidens with wedding rings to be able to get enough power to defeat the Demon Lord. Unfortunately, the childhood friend is like actually in love with him, and he's vaguely in love with her, so there's a whole bit of tension of what does he do, because to save everyone he needs to go romance everyone, but she doesn't want him to, he doesn't want him to. Kind of ecchi. I don't think it's a plaster wrap series, or at least all the ones I've picked up are plaster wrap, though actually a fair few of these have been secondhand. I do like that the author's just called Maybe. As we have Tales of the Kingdom Volume 1, this was just a selection of short stories. I don't even know if they were in the same kingdom. Nothing to do with one another. I wasn't too fussed, I wasn't too keen. I just didn't really get into it, and I wasn't that keen on the art style. It also only took me again like 15 minutes to read the volume, considering it's a hardback means it's more expensive, and I just didn't feel it was worth the money. But I'll try a few more and see what I think. As I have Tales of the Secret Saint Volume 3, I'm so sad because I've been wanting to pick this series up for ages and I keep not seeing Volume 1, but I saw Volume 3 at 50% off, so I was like, let's just grab it. And hopefully I'll be able to find some more this year. Next we have Tales of Berseria 1 and 2, and that's up to date. These are my partner's volumes. I believe, again, they're based on a video game. I'm not sure if he's played it, I'm not sure if he's read it. Actually, no, he must have read it. I think he's definitely read it. I haven't read these yet, though. Tale of Outcasts Volume 4. This is another one I got on sale. Another one that had been on my want to try list. It's so annoying having a series on your want to try list and then you find them discounted. So I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to keep an eye out for more. Tamano-chan's A Fox Volume 1, and I am behind. So in this fox statue at a shrine sees loads of high school kids going to the shrine day to day, and she's like, I want to experience that. So I think the power of the shrine, or the goddess of the shrine, turns her into a girl so she can attend high school and experience it. Now everyone, all the kids can see her as like a fox girl, whereas all the adults just see her as a regular girl, and it's her trying to like pretend to fit in and have a normal high school life and experience it, and it's quite wholesome and sweet. There is a lot of references to Japanese religion, shrine culture and that sort of thing, but there is loads of footnotes like all the way around the edges of the pages explaining everything if you don't understand it. It was light-hearted, it wasn't amazing, but it was just nice. As we have Tagami Baki 1 to 20, and this is complete. I have spent so many years collecting this series. I had like a bunch of volumes I got from this £2 store that I've mentioned a few times, because I thought the art was just gorgeous, so I picked them up and I read like 2 and 5 out of order or something crazy, and then I just sort of slowly picked them up over the past few years. I was quite lucky that I think the only one I was missing, and I saw someone say it was potentially looking like it might go out of stock or / out of print, and the only volume I was missing was on Amazon for less than retail, so I grabbed it when I was able to complete it without any worries. Very pretty series. I have since only read up to like 6 or 7 because the missing volume I had I think was volume 10, maybe 11. But it is a very, very pretty series, and potentially one I'll try and read this year. As we have Terraformers, and we have volume 1 all the way to 22. Now I feel like the stars aligned for me on this series, so I picked up 1 to 10 on eBay for like 40 quid or something, so like £4 a volume, and then I managed to happen across just the rest of the volumes that I needed across Travelling Man, Forbidden Planet, and I think another store. And between the 3 of them, they all had the exact volumes that I needed. So like Forbidden Planet, these ones that's plastic wrapped, the ones that Forbidden Planet had. There was a few more that Travelling Man had, and then I think the last one I managed to find in this other store. But like, I think they'd been there for ages. They were just sort of hanging around. But I am now up to date on this. So I'm looking forward to reading this. This is meant to be really good. It's meant to be a very gritty thing, I believe. Something about ants. Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School 1, 3 and 5. But I think all 3 of these are secondhand. another one that had been on my want to try list, and I picked these up secondhand for like £4 or less. Kind of rainbowy spines, and I like that. There's like 10 or 11 volumes out, so I am quite behind on the series. Next we have That Blue Sky Feeling 1-3, and that is a complete series. This is kind of a nice, chill, high school BL, not explicit series. There's a few dubious points, I think, around an age gap romance that did kind of, in hindsight, feel a bit inappropriate. I think this was the first BL-ish series I read. I hadn't realised it was BL when I picked it up. I picked it up because I like the title, That Blue Sky Feeling. It was an okay read. I liked that it was probably one of the first as well where I read about people trying to come to terms with like their emotions, sexuality, what they're feeling. I'm not sure how well it stands to other series now that I've read a lot more around that kind of thing. But it was I think a nice way to broach that sort of genre. Okay, next we have That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime 1-10 and 11-20. I love this series so much. It's one of my favourite isekai. It's one of the very first isekai I started picking up the manga of. I watched the first season of the anime while at uni, and then I was like, there's a manga, oh my gosh, I'm gonna start picking it up. And it was one of the very first like bigger sized manga that I picked up, which was very exciting. And I remember like being, I think I was like 19, 20, and just like aggressively picking up volumes when I could find them. I think I got up to date around a volume 9-ish, and it doesn't release too often, unfortunately, and now they're quite expensive. I think I was looking at pre-ordering 21 and it's like RRP $14.99. Like, oh, so sad. I heard some bits about where the last anime series ended. I think the manga's now just gone past it. There is also a light novel, which has been going on for quite a while, which is most definitely going to be past it. Really, really enjoy it. Would definitely recommend this as an isekai to try. It's not too harem-y either, just sort of lots of mad skills. As we got That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime Trinity and Tempest 1-3, and That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime The Ways of the Monster Nation 1, 4, and 5. So apart from Way of the Monster Nation Volume 1, the rest I got secondhand. These Trinity is like similar size to the main series, whereas Monster Nation is smaller. I was very upset because this is the series that made me realise that when they release a spin-off, it doesn't mean you can necessarily read it if you're keeping up to date with the main manga series, because I read the first few pages of Monster Nation Volume 1 and I got spoilers. I was so annoyed to get spoilers. I was so mad. I need to go and check if I can now read this. If I can now read this, I'm going to go buy Volume 2 and 3 and then read this. And I also need to check if I can read this one too. I think both are on like 6 or 7 volumes at the moment, so I am behind, but I got annoyed about not being able to read it, so I've not rushed to get up to date. As we have that Wolf Boy's Mind 1-4, and these are the singles. They have reprinted the series into 2-in-1 omnis. I must say, I wasn't too impressed. I'll probably talk about it a bit more when we get to the next series from the same manga artist, which is Those Not So Sweet Boys. But this basically felt like the exact same story as Those Not So Sweet Boys, except the boys had some powers. Like, the kind of run of events was exactly the same, except in 4 volumes, and also not done as well, because evidently they'd improved a bit for Those Not So Sweet Boys. So I was a bit disappointed with this one. It was an interesting read, and I managed to read all 4 volumes in like 2 days, which isn't actually that impressive to be fair, but I read them quite quick, back to back. Wasn't too impressed. Maybe if you can find them cheap. I also know that a lot of people like her other series. I think it's Love in Focus, whereas I didn't, so that could just be my taste was I didn't enjoy this one. Next we have There's a Demon Lord on the Floor Volume 1, very behind on this series. This is a reverse isekai. It's a bit more booby than, say, a more popular one like Devil's a Part-Timer. This girl who is a demon lord is isekai and ends up working in like a cafe, basically. But that's pretty much all that's happened in that. It's okay, it's fine. I'm only going to probably pick it up secondhand. Next we have Thigh High Reiwa Hanamaru Academy 1-3, and that's complete. This is set in like an old boys' school where they wear skirts and bras, and they're very feminine, and it's quite sweet, it's quite light-hearted. It was an interesting first volume read. I haven't read past volume 1 yet, but it is complete at 3 volumes, so I really should. This is screwed up, but I was reincarnated as a girl in another world 1 and 2, and I have gotten a few more for Christmas. This is an isekai about a guy who has been reincarnated into the body of a girl. He has a bunch of abilities, kind of Minecrafty, where he can craft stuff. If he has the original elements, he can't just conjure stuff. Oh no, he can conjure stuff, but it uses energy. But it uses less energy if he has the materials, and he's kind of just trying to live a chill life. This is it plastic wrapped? I'm not sure if it's plastic wrapped, but it does get a bit raunchy once he discovers some self-love in the form of a woman, and spends a lot of time doing that and building contraptions to aid with that. It's actually quite interesting read though. So far it's not harem-y or anything, just like fun skills and with a female lead. Okay, start from the bottom. Thus spoke Rohan Kishib, volume 1, and I believe, is this a JoJo thing? I am wondering if I should put this with JoJo. I need to look more into what the series is about. I did pick it up at the time to make a 3 for 2. I believe there's another one out. I haven't read JoJo, so I've not really looked into it too much though. Then we have Though I am an inept villainess, Tale of the Butterfly Body Swap in the Maiden Court, Volume 1. Oh my goodness me. Right, so this I thought was an isekai. It's not an isekai. It's set in a similar environment, say Apothecary Diaries, where the Emperor has a selection of maidens to choose for his, like, who to marry and who to... I think they, like, get ranked or something, like best empress to next best, not quite an empress. And in this group of like 4 or 5 women, there is one who is absolutely adored. He loves her so much. She's perfect, she's amazing, she's wonderful. Unfortunately, she gets sick a lot. And then there's one who's considered a villainess. She's not very nice, she's snappy, she's mean. And the series starts out with the villainess doing some form of witchcraft, magic, something, to swap bodies with the really nice favoured girl. And of course now everyone thinks that the nice favoured girl's the villainess, and the villainess is now the nice favoured girl. The nice favoured girl kind of sees it as like she'd done her a favour, because now she's not in a sickly body, she can go out and do things that she couldn't do before. She managed to escape death, being killed, and now she's just sort of been banished to a shed on the outskirts of the impound, and she's quite happily just cleaning, cooking, gardening. She's having a great time, whereas the villainess in the sickly body is struggling because she's sick all the time, but she's getting lots of affection from the Emperor, so she's kind of enjoying it. That's kind of the premise. There's some extra bits that have happened to further some actual story, but that's like the premise of what's happening. Really quite enjoyed it. Unfortunately, again, it's another pricey volume because it's a really chunky 7 Cs. I pre-ordered this one ages ago, so it wasn't too bad, but volume 2 and 3 I'm a bit nervous to pre-order because they're so expensive. Next we have Those Not So Sweet Boys 1-7 that's complete. I am so unclear if there was going to be a volume 8 because I had pre-ordered a volume 8 and then I looked into it and there was like, there isn't a volume 8. And then it eventually got cancelled, which is fine. And then I saw someone had volume 8 up for pre-order again, and apparently there was some like extra side stories. I'm like, is it those? I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. I'll just see if it pops up in store maybe. So in this series we have our main character who is a girl. I'm not pulling the volumes out. We have a main character, and at school there's a group of 3 guys and they just sort of keep ditching school. The principal is like, I know you have a part-time job. If you go and convince these guys to come back to school, I won't get you into trouble for it because you're not allowed to have a part-time job at school. Basically, she manages to convince them to come back, tries to get them to be better students, and one by one they all kind of basically fall in love with her, and she falls in love with one of them and they start dating, and there's some fight back on them dating and stuff, but it's quite a chill series. But again, as I said, like the basic outline premise is really similar to that Wolf Boy's Mine. I think in general, I found it quite a nothing series. I was really quite enjoying it up to like 3, and then like not much was overly happening. There was like 1 or 2 bits that would happen, like, oh, this is wonderful, and then nothing would happen again. Chill, light-hearted. I think just maybe this is one that just wasn't for me. I'm not sure this manga artist is for me. I've got 3 of her series, and all of them, I didn't really enjoy 2 of them. 1 of them I vaguely enjoyed. I don't know. I think I heard that her next series has some sibling love, which is super questionable unless I've mixed up manga artists, at which point I'm so sorry, but I think it might be her. Okay, next we have Time Stop Hero 1 to 5, and this is up to date. This is an isekai. It's quite a dubious isekai, but I actually really adore the premise. So our main character has been isekai'd with this like remote. When he presses it, it stops time for everyone but him. And he uses that to try and complete objectives, to try and figure out what's going on / escape the world he's in. So he kind of has a timer on the remote, I think, which is like a countdown. He doesn't know what it's counting down to. All he assumes is he needs to complete a quest or something before the timer runs out, or something bad would happen. He has managed to do it a few times, but is always cutting it a bit close. I think the main problem with this series is quite often he stops time and uses it to molest women. Like, he'll drop their clothes and just fondle boobs or have a gander down below. It's like, why? Otherwise, I find I find the premise really interesting, and he uses stopping time to solve a lot of problems, and I've just quite enjoyed that. I do actually look forward to reading more. Next we have volumes 1 and 4 of To Save the World, Can You Wake Up the Morning After with a Demi-Human? So, yeah, this guy keeps getting attacked by various demi-humans. She's just laid down. I think she wanted some cuddles. Well, I'll keep talking while I'm cuddling. Okay, so this guy keeps getting like random demi-humans like break into his apartment or come up to him, and they kind of start doing things to him, and he passes out, and he wakes up the morning after, and he's like, what happened? And they're like, thank you so much. And he's like, what happened? That's basically been it. There's been a different character every chapter. There are like 5 volumes out. I only read the first one because I was like, what the hell am I reading? And then I found volume 4 discounted, I think, and I found another one discounted over Christmas. I'm not sure. It's not great. If you like terrible, smutty stuff, maybe. Okay, next we have To Strip the Flesh, and this is a one-shot, and like pretty much I'd said to myself, I'm not sure one-shots are for me, and then I read this and I was like, I absolutely love this. I don't even know how to describe it, because a lot of the one-shots aren't really related. It's just a whole bunch of, there we go, a moving collection of 6 short stories that explore what must be stripped away to find the truth and celebrates the beauty of embracing who you are. There you go. Absolutely lovely. So most of the volume is taken up by one story around this character, and then there's like a couple of other shorter stories, and then there's a few like 1-page or 2-page stories, and I loved them. They were so good. I don't know why I enjoyed them so much, but I really did. Would definitely recommend this. Really, like, it caught me by surprise how much I enjoyed it. I think that might be one of the reasons I enjoyed it, because it was like completely not what I was expecting. As we have To Your Eternity, and we have 1 to 4, 6, and then I think 8 to 16. I think I'm getting 17 for Christmas, but I am missing 5 and 7 before I'm up to date. I'm desperate for them to do a reprint. That's mainly the reason I haven't got it yet. They're either above retail or just not available. I assume it needs a reprint. I've read the first 2 volumes of this and very much enjoyed it. It is very emotional, also a bit confusing to explain. I know a lot of people aren't too keen on the later parts, but the rest of it, everyone says is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, so I feel like it's going to be worth it just to read those. I just need to find earlier volumes. Also, I really love the spines. They're kind of like colourful, but not. As we have today's Cerberus 1, 3, 4, 5. I haven't started reading this. All of these I picked up secondhand a while ago. I did get pulled in a bit because of the rainbow on the spines, I cannot lie. And down here we have Toilet Bound Tanukkan, so we have 0 and 116, and After School Toilet Bound Tanukkan, and I think that is complete. I haven't read 16 of the main series, but I have read the rest. So 0 is like, it has like the prequel, not a prequel, it has the original like draft test run, I've forgotten the word, and then there were some side stories. I didn't actually enjoy it very much. I think like the extra stories made me really sad. I didn't like it too much. Art, of course, absolutely wonderful, though I think you can really see a difference between the original concepts for the main series and this, and then the main series. The main series is a lot cleaner, a lot smoother, nicer, but still very nice. And then we have the main series,
I feel very up and down with this sometimes. I mean, art, gorgeous. I can't stop reading it for the art. I'm not sure. I'm a bit unsure about the current arc, but I should probably read 16 to see, like, what happens. And then we have After School Toilet Band Nakakun, which is After School Nakakun no Toilet. This is, like, some fun side stories, kind of like Noragami, short stories, stray stories, whatever. Just some silly, light-hearted stuff around the main characters, because it is quite a serious series. It is nice to read something light-hearted. I was really put off picking this up for such a long time because it has toilet in the title, and then I was like, let's just grab it, let's go for it. And I think I started picking it up just as volume 3 came out, so this is another one that I know people struggle to pick up volumes because reprints are in need, and when people ask, where did you get them from? And it's like, I don't know, I got them as they came out. I've stayed up to date. That's mostly the way I've managed to keep up to date with a lot of series like this. I'm sorry. Also, amazing spines. Amazing spines. Damn these two. Oh, and volume 12. Final volume down here is Tokyo Aliens volume 1. And I think this was a vaguely-ish new release, especially when I got it. Don't know much about it. I haven't read it. I grabbed this to make 3 for 2, and it looked interesting.
And we're on the last shelf. Goodness, what a journey it's been. I can't believe some of you are watching all of these. Thank you so much. Let's get up the step ladder. Okay, again, apologies that my voice is a bit rough. Hopefully after I finish this, I'm just going to give it a whole bunch of rest so it can recover, because I have a whole bunch of other videos I want to try and film. Right, so we have Tokyo Ghoul, and we have 1 to 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've read the first 3 of Tokyo Ghoul, but that was many years ago, and then I kind of just sort of held off picking it up. No particular reason, just did. I am kind of set on holding off to pick up Re as the box set. It's probably one of the only box sets I don't have in my collection, so I am holding off picking up volumes from that. I've just started picking these up again more recently. I'm going to try and complete the main series. Then we have Tokyo Revengers 1, 2, 3, 4, first 2 Omnis, and I think I'm getting another one for Christmas. I haven't started reading it yet, though. I feel like they're coming out quite quick. I've just not gotten around to it. There's loads of hype around the series until like the ending, I think, so I'm looking forward to getting into it because I know a lot of people really like it. Next we have Tokyo Tarariba Girls 1 to 9, and I pronounce it weird because I really struggle to pronounce the middle word for some reason. I don't know why. If I do it slowly and like enunciate each part of the word, I can do it, but I can't just say it casually, and I don't know why. So this is another series by the same artist as Princess Jellyfish and Blank Canvas, around a 30-something-year-old who is determined to find herself a husband by the Tokyo Olympics, which does amuse me because, I mean, they got pushed back a year, so she technically got an extra year, but I think the manga had finished publishing before all of that. I've read the first couple of volumes, and it was an interesting read. I'm looking forward to getting into the rest of it, though. And a cat just fell down the ladder. Silly cat. Actually, I managed to get quite a lot of these secondhand, which was nice. So like £4 or £5. Next we have Trapped in a Dating Sim, The World of Otome Games is Tough for Mobs 1 to 3. I am actually behind. I hadn't realised how behind. I'm getting 5 and 6 for Christmas, so I'm missing volume 4, which is unfortunate. It is an isekai, where the guy isn't the main character. He's just a side character, and he's trying to navigate being in this dating sim otome game when he's just like a regular guy. It's kind of interesting. A lot of it's kind of harem-ish so far, kind of. As we have Triage X 1 to 3 and 21 and 22. This is quite a hard series to find. Again, another long-running yen press. There's a trend. I picked up the first 3 before. No, the first 2 before I realised or learned how hard it was to find. I believe there were reprints. I read the first volume. It was okay. I wasn't overly like blown away by it though, so I'm really not fussed or rushing to pick up more volumes, to be fair. Next we have A Tropical Fish Yearns for Snow 1 to 9. That is complete. I know a lot of people got a bit down with this series because it's sort of presented and marketed as a GL, but I don't believe that's how it ends up, and the artist is like, no, it's not. But it's meant to be. I've read the first couple. It was quite just a nice, light-hearted, what I thought was GL surrounding like fish and aquariums and stuff. Nice. I like the spines. I really like the blues. Tsubaki-cho Lonely Planet Volume 1. I think Volume 2 is out soon-ish. I do have it on pre-order, so it'll turn up when it turns up. This is the same manga artist as Daytime Shooting Star, I think. A girl ends up moving in with a writer so she can be his like live-in maid because she needs to earn some money. That's kind of it so far. I wasn't too bothered by it. I just wasn't that bothered by it. It was fine. It was okay to read. I wasn't blown away again. As we have Tsubasa 1 to 3 and 7, so I picked these up secondhand for like probably I think only like £1. They were so cheap. And then I learned how hard it was to find the whole set, and I've put off picking up more. I'd really like to try and pick up more. I'm really interested in reading a lot of the work by Clamp, but a lot of it's so hard to find. There's some more on the shelf, and that just so hard to find. I don't know what I'll do. I know there's Omnis, but I think they're equally as hard to find as singles, so I don't know. As we have Twin Star Exorcist, we have 1 to 8, and what else have we got? 9 to I think 18. And then 20 to 22, 24 to 26. So I think I have picked up 19 since. I am only missing 23 before I'm up to date. Another series where I've gotten a lot secondhand. I've gotten a lot 3 for 2 or on sale from Travelling Man. I have had like early gaps for a long while though, so I haven't started reading it yet though. Need to get some more. Get that last volume and then another one I'd like to try and read in this year. My throat. Next we have Ultimo 1 to 3. Again, another series. I hadn't realised how hard it was to collect until I started collecting it. Very sad. It's meant to be a sort of shonen thing that was written by Stan Lee. Apparently it's quite good. It's unfortunate how hard later volumes are to pick up. I have actually picked up some more volumes because I found some secondhand. But I haven't put them away yet. But I have no idea if I'll ever be able to complete this series, which is a shame. I think it's like 11 or 12 volumes complete, maybe? 10? Don't know. Uncle from Another World 1 to 4, kind of ish. In Isekai, I've only read the first volume of this. It's about a guy who has been isekai'd and he's come back. But while he's been away, he's been in a coma, so time has passed and he doesn't really know how things necessarily work all the time. So he's trying to learn like around the internet and social media and games consoles, stuff like that. It was quite interesting. I didn't understand all the hype. It was very okay. I found some of the artwork I found a bit gross. I didn't like looking at it too much, which again, that is a me problem. But it is very, very hyped up, the series, and I think there's an anime and everyone seemed really excited on Twitter. Don't understand. Maybe I just need to read more to understand. Next we have Undead Unluck volumes 1 to 9. I love Undead Unluck. I really love Undead Unluck. I don't know why I love it so much. I don't think, like, if you look at it objectively, it's one of the best Shonen Jump series there is. But I don't know, I enjoy it, and that's all that matters, to be fair. I would recommend it. I think it's already heading towards its like finale. I don't think it's going to be a very long series. Undead Unlock feels like it was already in its final arc, kinda. There was like 1 or 2 shorter arcs at the beginning, and then it's sort of just heading towards an ending. Which is a shame with like how much I like it. I'd love for it to keep going. It is what it is, never mind. But would recommend. Nice spines, and I absolutely adore Volume 9. Unwanted Undead Adventure Volume 1, and I'm, very behind. There's like 4 or 5 of this out now, but it's very expensive. It pops up for like $13.99 when I'm in store. That was before the price hike. I'm not paying that. Her volume's so small. It's not an isekai, it's just a fantasy. I think a guy dies in a dungeon and he kind of becomes undead, and it's him trying to navigate his now undead status. I think, again, been quite a while since I read it. It was an okay read. I do definitely want to pick up more, just maybe secondhand or on sale. Next we have some Urusei Yatsura. So we have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, and I think I picked up another one recently. I think it's complete at 17 of these. I love how colourful they are, so pretty. I know there's been a new anime recently and everyone's very excited about it, and I was like, okay, let's try picking up the manga. And a lot of these, actually, because they're older prints, were price marked at $12.99 or even $9.99. No, not $9.99, $11.99? I can't remember. But they were lower. More recent ones are $15.99, or reprints are also $15.99. Very excited to get into this though. There's a lot of reading to do. Next we have this poor volume stuck between big volumes, Uso Toki Rhetoric Volume 1. Really enjoyed this, probably one of my favourite new series reads of 2022. It is about this girl who is able to, I can't remember if she can hear or see lies. Basically, someone lies and she knows. And she ends up helping this detective and is able to help sleuth out people lying when he's like asking them questions and stuff. And I absolutely adore mystery series and detective series and stuff like that. So I really loved it. It's my kind of thing. I've pre-ordered volume 2, very excited for it to arrive. As we have Vagabond 1, 2, 5, and I think I've picked up another one again. I've had these in my collection a while. I haven't started reading it. I kind of wanted to pick up some more. I hear that they're really hard to pick up at the moment, though there are getting reprints, or there'll be reprints. So I'm going to hold off, get some more, and go through it. A lot of people, even in my, that I know day to day, have said I need to start reading this, so that usually is a sign I really do need to start reading it. Next we have some Valx Love. I don't know if you pronounce the X in this. 2, 5, 6, 10, and 11. So most of these have either been secondhand or on sale. Ooh. Yeah, so there's one that was on sale, and I think I got this one half price online. Still plastic wrapped. It is a adult series, it is docked in the adult area. I haven't started reading it, I don't have earlier volumes, but I am always on the hunt to collect adult plastic wrap series. As we have Vamp Ears Volume 1, and I believe there is another one out now. This is, I think, my first volume outright by Dempa. I say outright because I think Faku is technically published under Dempa, just it has the Faku logo on it, but this is the first one I have that just says Dempa on it. This is a GL vampire story. I wasn't too bothered by it though. I found it okay. I didn't really like the weird fixation the characters seem to have on each other. It was completely out of nowhere. I felt it just started immediately. I just wasn't interested too much by it, but I would like to read further to see if it gets better. Next we have Vampire Dormitory 1 to 7. I am getting 8 for Christmas. So I started off and I really liked this series. It felt like the nice kind of silly, romantic, over-the-top vampire romance that I wanted. I feel like later on in the series, as I've read more, I'm starting to find I take it less seriously, and it's just gotten a bit... There's a couple of things that have happened that I feel like, really? I just struggled to, I don't feel like as, swoony or anything as I did maybe for a couple of volumes at the beginning. I am still enjoying it though, it's so questionable, but the spines are lovely. I think this pairing, the yellow and pink, is so lovely. Next we have Vampire Knight 1 to 15 and 18, so I am missing a few volumes before I'm complete. Now, I overheard someone in Forbidden Planet ask a staff member if they were getting stock back, and I remember the guy looked it up and he said that they are apparently due to be reprinted. It's just very unknown when they'll actually get volumes in, which sounded hopeful for getting the rest of the volumes. So actually all of these I got, a guy I work with messaged me saying, "I hear you like manga," and I was like, "You hear correctly." And he said that he had a friend who was wanting to sell. They had Vampire Knight 1 to 15 and they were wanting to sell it. Would I be interested? And I was like, well, okay, yes, sure. I'm very happy that I've managed to gain a name for myself that people are like, I need to get rid of some manga. I know, I'll contact Caketinz or Caitlin, as they call me at work. They don't call me Caketinz at work. And then, yeah, I got this. Very happy. It was a bit yellowed at the top, but, I'm not bothered by it. The actual, the quality of the spines and the rest of the volume is still wonderful. Very happy with it. I'm going to wait till I get the rest before I try reading it. Also, I'm going to start trying to pick up Vampire Knight Memories, but I don't think I can read it till I've read a chunk of this, I think, based on what I heard about it. As we have Villains Are Destined to Die, Volume 1. This is another Ise Press. I loved it. This is, what I love. It has a mix of villainess, romance, and stats. And it's a video game. Our main character is isekai'd into this mobile game she's playing, and she's isekai'd as the villainess, which is the hard route, and she's playing through the game and trying to not die, basically. It is another full colour series, like all of the Ise Press series, and it's just so wonderful. Would recommend, it's great. I even have volume 2 on pre-order. Next we have some Vinland Saga, so we have 1 to 4 and 11. So I think I bought the first 3 for about £10 each, 4 was about 12, and then 11, plastic wrapped, I got for £7. How neat is that? So yeah, I'm very slowly collecting this because I'm very cheap and I like getting them discounted, and so I'm just waiting to see the rest at a lower price. and then I'll sweep them all up. I don't like that I have two of the same colour touching. I really badly want to get some more, so the same colour is not touching, which is so silly. As we have Waiting for Spring 1 to 12, and I am behind, I think there's 14 volumes, so I'm missing 2 more. This I've predominantly picked up either in store or secondhand. I have read up to, I think, volume 5 or volume 6, and then I was like, I'll wait till I get the rest, because I was also missing a couple of these ones, and I've just not gotten around to getting the rest yet. Very light-hearted high school romance, with a focus on, I think they play basketball. Actually does remind me a bit about those Not So Sweet Boys, but I think this one's better, to be honest. Wandering Witch, The Journey of Elena 1-3, and that is up to date. Oh, I think volume 4 is actually coming out sometime this year. This is a fantasy series surrounding this witch called Elena who wanders about. It has actually quite some... I've read the first volume and there is some surprisingly adult, mature topics in it. It is a really good read, really enjoyed it. I would recommend, but again, quite adult topics, maybe look into it first. Also a light novel that I started picking up for my partner. So we have The Water Dragon's Bride 1 to 11, and that is complete. I have only read the first volume, and then I was like, oh, short series, pick up the rest. And then I didn't complete the series until quite recently. Another mix of secondhand and Travelling Man, mostly bought for like, yeah, £4.50 or less. I think it's the same artist as King's Beast and Dawn of the Arcana. As we have Wave Listen to Me 1 to 8, and I'm not sure if I'm up to date anymore. I don't know if 9 is out. This was an interesting series. It's a very heavy series just because there's just a lot of text. It's not like overly heavy topics. Well, maybe. It's just a lot of text. It's about a woman who accidentally ends up with a show on the radio where she kind of rants quite aggressively about stuff, and people seem to enjoy it. I'm only like 2 volumes in though because it's just so heavy. It's hard to get through sometimes, but it is a good read still. Just I need to be in the right mood, and I've just not been in that mood for a few months. As we have One Dance 1 and 2, and I think again I'm getting another one for Christmas. I haven't started reading it. I've not actually had these that long in my collection. I believe it's a sports manga based on dancing. That's about the limit of my knowledge. I know it's an expensive series nowadays, and I think they're like $13.99 again in store. I like that the author is called Coffee though. Top 10 fun author names. I should do a video. As we have Wake Up Sleep and Beauty Volume 2, got it secondhand recently. I haven't read it. I don't have Volume 1. I don't think it's a very long series. It'd been on my want to try list, so I was very excited to see some secondhand though. As we have The Way of the House Husband 1 to 8, and that is up to date. I like The Way of the House Husband. It is definitely getting a little bit repetitive further in, but I still find it enjoyable, and I like the silly moments, the silly stuff. I like the interactions with his wife. Do enjoy it. I hear mixed feelings on the anime. I hear that if you've not read the manga, you'll enjoy the anime. If you have read the manga, you won't enjoy the anime because of just the style they went for. There's also some strange comments about the way it had been marketed in the West was different to how it gotten marketed in Japan. So like in Japan it was like, this is what it's going to be like, whereas it wasn't quite marketed like that in the West. I don't know how true that is because again, I'm not an anime watcher, so I wasn't really keeping up to date. But I do enjoy it. Always look forward to more volumes of this. Weathering with You Volume 1. I think this is 3 volumes long. I got this half price from Blackwell's. I haven't started reading it, I believe. Yes, I think it's only 3 volumes, so I'm just going to hold off to get the others. I think it's based on a movie, and the movie came first. As we have Welcome Back Alice 1 to 3, and I am ish up to date. I have 4 on pre-order, but it's not out. I haven't started reading this yet. I know there's mixed feelings on the series about how good it is and representative. I don't actually know what it's about at all, really. I think someone said something to me, but I have the memory of a sieve and I can't remember. I do like the different shades of blue on the spines. Next we have We Never Learn 1 to 21, and that is a series complete. I started collecting We Never Learn about when volume 5 or 6 came out. I did quite enjoy it to begin with. I feel like it slumped quite a bit, sort of around here-ish. It could have done with way less volumes. I kind of get why they did it the way they did. It was trying to build a relationship with all of the girls, so you could kind of see him wanting to end up in a relationship with each one. What I did really like was, though, that technically the series kind of wrapped up in volume 16, and then from 17 onwards, each volume is a different ending for each girl. So like almost it didn't matter who your favourite character was, you could see an ending for them, which was really neat. I had not seen that before. It was almost like a choose your own adventure kind of deal. And I ended up enjoying the endings for characters I didn't think I would enjoy, because I wasn't too keen on them like during the main series, but I really quite liked their ending. I really liked her. She was my favourite, so I really enjoyed this one the most. And I can pretend that this one's my ending. One with the teacher is a bit weird though, even though the cover's really pretty. We swore to meet in the next life, and that's when things got weird. 1 to 3, and that is complete. This is an isekai, it's a romance. I know some people feel a bit weird about it because it's an age gap, because she's 39, he's 17. Personally, I think with this series, it's a bit weird anyway. It's not a regular age gap. They were both in love in a previous life, and then they both died. They got isekai'd, and they found each other again. And to me, that's not the same. You can't treat this like a regular age gap romance, because the issue of maturity is different, because they already knew each other, and it's an isekai, and it's not real. But that's... I can understand people not being comfortable with it anyway. Personally, I was like, yeah, it's fine, because it's not quite the same. Because, yeah, his body's 17, but he also has his mental years from his previous life, and same with her. It was quite sweet, because pretty much the entire series is them trying to navigate the social issues of the age gap. It does end nicely, it's quite lovely. As we have the weakest contestant of all, Space and Time, 1 and 2, and this is complete, though like I didn't even realize it was complete until after I'd finished reading it, and I got to the end of volume 2 and I was so confused, and I looked it up and it was like, yeah, there's only 2 volumes. It's not very good. It's technically an isekai. It's so bad. One of my worst reads, probably not even just of 2022, just ever. Do not recommend. As we have the weakest, Tamer began a journey to pick up trash, volume 1. I assume the second one might be out by now because I've had this one a while. There is also a light novel. This was quite nice, quite sad though. Our main character is it an isekai? No, it's not an isekai. Our main character in this world, you're given stars based on like how powerful you are or something, and she ends up with like the lowest rank of stars. And her family starts shunning her and like eventually making her sleep outside, and eventually they're like, well, let's just do off with her. And she runs off so she isn't murdered. And it's so sad because she's not very old, and she's already on her own trying to make her way in life, and yeah, I just felt really bad. It was otherwise quite a good fantasy, just not insanely lighthearted. As we have Welcome to the Ballroom 1 and 3, and yeah, I'm very behind. I think there's like 10 plus volumes out. Another sports manga based on ballroom dancing, or I think just sort of in general more formal types of dancing. It was an interesting read, but again, I've only read volume 1 because I'm missing volumes. Someone told me this was the same author as Haiku, and I believed them, and then I was like, looked it up a bit later on, I was like, wait, no it's not. I don't think it is. It'd be really awkward if I'm wrong again. When will Ayumu make his move? 1 to 3 and 5. I got all of these for $4.99 on Blackwell's, and I haven't started reading them yet. I am now missing volume 4. I think I've ordered volume 6 second hand, but apparently it's like a light-hearted slice of life. I'll find out. Whisper Me a Love Song 2, 3 and 4. Again, missing volume 1. I got all of these again second hand or Blackwell's half price. Volumes keep popping up on Blackwell's at half price randomly. Just you need to keep an eye out for it. Sometimes they're only there, sometimes for like an hour or two, and then it goes back up in price. I don't know if they have like a certain amount of stock they need to shift, so they just drop the price until they've moved that stock and then it goes back up or not. I don't know. But that's actually where I get quite a few of these like bigger cadunches, and that's where I got these from. White Cat's Revenge is plotted from the Dragon King's lap 1 to 3, and this is an isekai, and it's quite an interesting isekai because it's about a group of people who've been isekai'd, including our main character here, as well as a friend of hers. She doesn't like this friend of hers. Her friend of hers is like trying to live her life. She's constantly copying her. She can't handle it. She just wants to go away. And they've been isekai together, and she kind of ends up running away and to get away from this friend in this other world. It turns out in this world all magic is controlled by little fairies, and all the fairies seem to adore her for some reason, probably to do with her natural blonde hair or something. I've quite enjoyed it. It is a shame I don't see any noise about when Volume 4 comes out, and Volume 3 came out a couple of years ago now. I don't know if it's on hiatus or what, but I should actually look into that. I know there's a light novel as well. So we have A White Rose Blooms. A White Rose in Bloom, Volume 2. Did I get this on sale? I think I got this on sale. I don't have volume 1, so I've not read it yet. I'm not sure about the art style. I don't really like the look of their faces. Who Says Warriors Can't Be Babes 1 to 3, and that's complete. I've only read the first one. I think my partner's read all of them. Basically, this main character is saved by the hero when she's a child, and she kind of falls for him, and she decides that she's going to try and grow up to be someone that can protect the hero or look after the hero. So she grows up training to be a warrior gladiator style class. It's very like Dragon Questy, if you're into Dragon Quest. She's very silly. I think lots of silly things keep happening. I hear it gets a bit, it changes a bit from volume 2. For volume 2 and 3, I suppose, not very long. But volume 1 was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. There was no reason I've not read 2 and 3 yet. Who Wants to Marry a Billionaire 1 to 3, and that is up to date. I think 4 comes out soon, though. In this, our main character kind of joins this sort of game show, but it's like an underground secret game show where a group of women are vying for the affections of this billionaire to become his wife. It's a plastic wrap series. There is a lot of questionable scenes because he gets them to do questionable things to prove themselves to him. All of the women there have some sort of sordid past to them. Like, someone was a murderer, someone was a thief, someone was a... Yeah, it's kind of like a mystery, dark dating show kind of manga. It's kind of interesting. Why Ray Liana ended up at the Duke's Mansion Volume 1, and I have gotten Volume 2 recently. This is about a woman who is isekai'd, I think, into a book that she's read. She knows that the fate of her character doesn't go well, so she's trying to secure herself an out that kind of goes against what happens in the book. I don't remember much more that happened, but I do have Volume 2 in my basket at the moment, so I'm hoping to read more. I do remember quite liking it now, thinking about it. It's just actually been quite a while since I read it. If we have Wild Ones 1 and 3, I've got both of these secondhand quite cheap. I'm just gonna slowly pick it up as and when, because again, Shoujo Beat doesn't pop up all that often, and I'm not paying silly prices. Next we have Witch and the Beast 1 to 8, and I might be up to date unless 9's come out. I think the spines for this series are absolutely gorgeous. These are so beautiful. It's such an interesting kind of series. I've only read the first one. It's about a dark kind of mystery set in Paris. It's kind of like Parisian style, Victorian style kind of architecture and clothing, and just there's some strange things with the main characters, and they're on the hunt for something, looking for something, and as they're doing it, they're kind of solving these mysteries along the way. It was really interesting. I need to read more of it, absolutely. Also, I've seen the cover of Volume 10, and it might be one of my favourite manga covers of all time. I'm obsessed. Next we have Witchbuster 1 to 10, and then 13 to 18. This is probably one of the oldest series I'd ever read. I started reading this at the same time I read One Piece as a teen, using scans, very naughty. For many years, I could not for the life of me remember what the series was called. And then when I happened upon the cover of the first omnibus one day, I was like, oh my god, this is what it's called. I'm gonna start collecting it. Oh, this is so happy. And then I learned that Seven Seas stopped printing the series post 18, and the series is still ongoing. I also learned how hard it is to find Witchbuster Omni 1112. If anyone ever has a Witchbuster 1112, please let me know. If you have multiple, also let me know, because I think Manga Sloth and me are like two of the only people I know hunting for that damn volume, and I'm not paying like £800 or whatever people are selling it for on Amazon. No. I believe this is a manhwa? It's Korean, I believe, and it was about a guy who hunts witches, and he has like a pumpkin guy as like his sidekick. It again has been very, very many years since I read it. I was mid-teens, so we're going on a decade now. Let's move on before I get sad. Next we have Witch Hat Atelier 1 to 9, and I should be up to date. My Volume 10 pre-order still hasn't shipped yet. I'm very sad, but I got it for a good price, so I can't be too upset. I absolutely adore Witch Hat Atelier Volume 5. This is my favourite manga cover in my collection. I absolutely love the gradient. I love how the artist draws curly hair. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the panelling in Witch Hat Atelier. I think it is gorgeous. It's so pretty. You get teary just thinking about it. I remember I was talking to my friend that recommends me manga, and I was like, well, for once I'm going to recommend you a manga. I think you should read Witch Hat Atelier. And he was like, oh, okay. And I remember I spoke to him at like 5 p.m. and then we were on a call again at 9 a.m. and he was like, "Yep, I've read all of it." And I'm like, "What? How have you read all of it? It's been like 12 hours." And he was like, "Yep, I read all of it." Oh my god. And now he's ahead of me and keeps threatening spoilers, and it's very annoying. I would 100% recommend Witch Atelier to literally everyone and everyone. I love how they handle magic in this. Magic, I feel like, is quite unique in this series. It's just gorgeous, and the artwork is gorgeous. Just read it for the artwork, and then you've got the bonus of a good story as well. Next we have Witchbuster. We've got volumes 1 and 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16. So I haven't read very far in the series because I'm missing volumes. A lot of these I got for Christmas last year, and I think they were quite cheap. I think the general premise is like it's a reverse damsel in distress, where this is the witch that continuously saves a dude because he's the damsel. It was quite interesting. It was over the top, lots of cool magic. I'm looking forward to reading more. I don't see it too often though, which is a shame and making it harder to find my missing volumes, though I don't think I'm actually missing too many now. Next we have The Witches of Adamus 1 and 2, and again I'm getting a volume for Christmas. This is a plastic wrap series. It's very, very etchy. Basically this guy has this condition called Adamus, and it means when he has some lone fun time, he produces a diamond. However, every diamond he produces knocks a year off his life, and there are these women who are called the Witches of Adamus who hunt down men with this condition to steal diamonds from them. If he can hold out a year without producing a diamond, or hold out a year from his diagnoses, he will be fine. He can produce as many diamonds as he wants and he'll be okay. He won't die and he won't lose any years off his life. He just needs to hold off. So all these women are tracking him down and trying to do things to him without consent. And he's like, no, stop it. It's quite a pricey series as well. Next we have A Witch's Printing Office 1 to 6. Witch's Printing Office is my favourite isekai in my collection. Speaking as the isekai queen, that means a lot. This is a very light-hearted, silly isekai. It's not actiony, it's not really got stats or anything. It is about our main character Mika, who is another character that one of my cats is named after. So we've got Mika and Yuna, and this is who Mika is named after. She has been isekai'd into this world. She was a comic cat. She was ambling home with a large hole, and she is brought to another world, and she decides that the best way to try and find her way home is to organise a similar sort of convention to Comiket, calling it Magicat. Instead of travelling the world looking for magic, why not bring it all into one place? And that's kind of the premise, except she ends up running it and it's really hard and things keep going wrong. And she also runs this printing office where people who are wanting to go to people will go to them to like have their books printed for the Magicat. It's absolutely wonderful, absolutely lighthearted. Also, the artwork is disgustingly good. Like, you wouldn't expect it looking at a series like this, but the artwork is just mind-blowingly gorgeous. Would absolutely, definitely recommend. And again, only 6 volumes, not a very long series at all. I didn't realise it was the final volume until I was reading it though, and I got really sad. Absolutely love it though. Definitely do try it, please. This is actually one of the few series, if they did an anime of this, I would be watching it. Absolutely. Please. Oh, I can't get it away. I'll just keep going along. Right, next we have Wolf and Part 2. I got this half price, I think, in Forbidden Planet. I'm trying to decide if I actually go put it next to Spice and Wolf because I believe it's the sequel. I haven't decided yet though, and I am missing volume 1. Next we have Woof Woof's Story. I told you to turn me into a pampered pooch, not Fenrir, 1 to 3, and that's up to date. There was like a year and a half between releases of 2 and 3. Also, it's not an amazing isekai. It's okay. It's about a guy who's like, he's isekai'd and is told, what do you want to be isekai'd as? And he's like, I just want to be like a pampered dog, pampered pooch. And he is isekai'd into Fenrir, so really big dog. Really big dog. Yeah, there isn't really much more to it. It's okay. Technically we have this one next, but I can't fit it on the shelf. It's sort of just waiting. We have The World After the Fall, which is another IZ Press series. I haven't read this one yet. I haven't gotten around to it, but I am looking forward to it. I've been sort of on an IZ Press binge the past few days. I've read quite a few of them actually. Next we have World End Salt. Salte? Volume 1. I haven't read it, I picked it up randomly because I like going into series blind and it looks fantasy and I like fantasy. Journey through space and time. Does that make it an isekai? As we have World Trigger, and I am missing 1 to 3 and 10 and 22 actually, and then I think I'd be up to date. I hear 1 to 3 is getting a reprint in the next month or so I'm just gonna hold out for those. Most of these I picked up second hand for £4 or less even. So cheap. I don't hear much about this series. A friend gave me a Shonen Jump magazine that she found in a second-hand store, and on the cover is World Trigger, so I was like, I need to give it a go now that it's on my cover. Next we have, oh, it's quite wedged in there. Next we have World of Warcraft Shadowwing, The Dragons of Outland Volume 1. This is my partner's. I know nothing about it. He grabbed it because it's World of Warcraft, and he used to play World of Warcraft. I avoid World of Warcraft like the plague. I wanted to avoid MMOs like the plague because I knew I'd get obsessed and sucked in. And then he made me play Final Fantasy XIV and I got obsessed and sucked in. And I'm never touching another MMO again because I'm already obsessed with one. I hear there's a lot of World of Warcraft manga, so I might need to try and track those down for him. I don't know if it's technically a graphic novel. I believe it's published by like Tokyo Pop though. And it was in the manga section at Forbidden Planet Manchester, so that's why it's here. Next we have Worlds End Time 1 to 4. And 5 to 8, and then 10, 11, 12. So I am missing volume 9 before I'm complete on the main series, though technically the sequel series I believe is just continuing the numbering. I don't know if it has a different name. I can't remember if it's like After or Beyond or something. The main series is complete at 12, and then there is a sequel series which is being reprinted. Might already be printed in English, or starting to be printed in English, I mean. So yeah, I've only read up to volume 8 because I don't have volume 9. Most of these I've got for pretty decent prices, and I've not seen 9 for a decent price yet, unfortunately, so I've just not grabbed it. This is like, I feel like Worlds End Harem is a lot of people's first venture into a explicit ecchi series. From what I can see, it's like the beginner's guide to reading an ecchi series. Basic premise, all dudes are dying, apart from like 4 or 5, and it means that they have to mate with all the women to produce all the babies. And they've tried artificial insemination, it doesn't work. It all has to be natural for reasons. And it gets kind of weird. I'd like to finish it off if I can find volume 9 for a good price. This was really tricky to find. I do think it might have had some reprints though, because like pretty much nowhere listed it, and then finally a whole bunch did get listed. But I remember Emma and Tiffany, when they went to London and I was 6, I couldn't go, they found me 5 and 6 and posted them up to me, which did very much amuse me because I know they struggled to find volumes for themselves, but they still managed to find me porn. I mean, smart. Next we have Worlds End Harem Fantasia 1 to 6. I am behind on this, I think 7 is out. This is a spin-off from the main series where it's fantasy, but it's quite a similar premise, except this guy, there are other dudes, and this guy has got this sort of weird power that makes women want to do anything he asks, and he needs to mate a lot. And then we have Worlds End Harem Fantasia Academy, which is a spin-off of the spin-off, Don't Fall Over, where it's kind of set in a high school. It's more for coma, it's silly. There isn't really anything about it that needs to be plastic wrapped, but it is plastic wrapped. Maybe it's just the topics. It was okay. I'm not rushing to pick the rest up though. If I see them in store, I'll probably grab them, but I'm not gonna like pre-order it or anything. So we have the world's finest assassin, gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. Again, this is another series where there was ages between the releases of 2 and 3, and I think 4 is already out now, and I'm behind. It was another okay isekai. I enjoyed this more than Woof Woof Story. I think I did actually quite enjoy volume 3, but I don't remember what happened in it now. This really good assassin has been sort of reincarnated by God, and she's like, I've got a request of you, you need to kill this person, train yourself up to do it. And he's like, okay, and that's kind of his goal in life, is to train himself to be able to assassinate this very important person. I want to say it's the hero, but I can't remember. It was okay. It was definitely better than average, but not outstanding. The world's strongest rearguard, Labyrinth Countries Novice Seeker 1 to 4. I don't think I've read volume 4 actually. This is another slightly okay isekai. It's about a guy who was on a company trip and the bus they were on crashed and a bunch got isekai'd. So that is the guy, the main character, and that is like his boss, I think. And they're in this world and they've been assigned jobs and they need to go into a labyrinth, beat up monsters to level up to be able to access nicer levels of town maybe. He's a rearguard, which I don't think is meant to be a particularly great class, but he manages, and he also like wears his suit for quite a while. And of course, all the main characters around him are women, because of course they are. Next we have Waterkoi 1/6, and that is complete. The fact that 6 is a half volume does really make me sad. I read the first one, I wasn't too impressed. I don't really understand. I hear the first one isn't actually that great though, it does get better, but I've not brought myself to get back into it. And then I was like, I'll hold off for volume 6, and I've again just not gone back into it. But I will do. Next we have XXX Holic 2 and 4, and I got these both secondhand. Now I cannot tell a lie, I partially picked them up because X was the only letter of the alphabet I didn't have a manga for, and pretty much my options were XXX Holic or X Clover, I think. Was it X Clover or X, the letter X, something. There was another one that was equally hard to find, and I grabbed these because they were really cheap. I would like to read the series. I don't know if I'll be able to find the rest of the volumes. Another one where it's had omnis, but the omnis seem to be equally hard to find. Very annoying. Okay, next we have Yakutake Japan 6, 8, 9, 10, 14, 23, 25. I have been very slowly collecting this for many years. I've never seen this series on shelves in store. All of these have been secondhand or I got from Blackwell's really cheap. Apparently it's to do with bread, and I really like food series. I was like, oh, this is so exciting, I'll pick it up. 25 volumes, collecting for like 2 years, and I've managed to get 7. 7 of them, not even halfway. I've had better luck with Eye Shield than this series. Very sad, not even a volume 1. Okay, we have Yakuza Fiancé, volume 1. This is quite a newest release. I found it okay. It's the same manga artist as Haru's Curse. I did find it interesting. I think I liked that it's definitely not going to be a healthy romance, and sometimes I find reading about unhealthy romances more fun than healthy romances, just because well, healthy romance, it's just going to be nice and plain sailing, whereas unhealthy ones, it's like you don't know what's going to happen, twists and turns and stuff. So I'm looking forward to more of this. I don't like how expensive this is. I think the RRP is like $13.99, and I picked it up for like £8.50, which is still way too much for how thin it is. Very sad. I, for some reason, thought it was Steam ship though. I got very confused when I was trying to find it online. Next we have Yakuza Level 1/6, vaguely up to date. 7 is out, but I don't have my copy yet. This is technically it's a shoujo. It's one of the very first Viz series that I picked up that is plastic wrapped. I'm not sure I've had a Viz series that's plastic wrapped before. Basically, this character ends up in a run-in, and this Yakuza guy saves her, and they start a relationship, and they bone a lot, and they're obsessed with each other, like really obsessed with each other, and it's kind of the whole plot. Sometimes someone comes in and kidnaps her or does something to him, and then the other one gets mad, and I definitely enjoyed it way more at the beginning. I'm not sure enough stories happening to keep my attention. Of course, I want to say it's lighthearted. It's a nice read because you know what you're going to get, but also you know what you're going to get. Nothing new's happening. Also, when I got this, I was like, oh, what a strange gold colour, and then I was talking to Geeky James and she was like, ew, mustard, and now I can't unsee it. This purple, though, is like the best shade of purple, though. Next we have Yakuza Moon, the manga edition. I haven't read it yet. I've had a flick through because it was plastic wrapped and I wanted to have a look. As it says it's the true story of a gangster's daughter, and it is only 1 volume. I just haven't read it yet, but I will do. I am interested. Looking forward to reading this. Next we have Yakuza Reincarnation 1 and 2. I think I'm getting 3 at some point soon. This is about a old Yakuza guy who was reincarnated in another world as this princess. Do we got a picture of the old guy? Him. So that's the old guy. He's been reincarnated into the body of this princess, and he's kind of using his Yakuza ways to try and be a princess. The things have kind of gone wrong for the princess. She's on the run when he's been reincarnated, so he is on the road, like, trying to do things. I don't know how to describe it. It's quite interesting. Definitely would recommend this one. Next we have Yamanda-kun and the Seven Witches 1-3 and 25-26. I haven't started reading it yet though. It's a very long series and I don't have many volumes. What I find most interesting is at some point Kodansha decided to start publishing them as omnibuses instead of singles, but when they publish them as omnis they still print it like it's 2 volumes, and this makes me so damn happy. There's a few series where they've done it like this, and I'm so happy to have the consistency of the spines. I get the Omni, but I get what I like most about singles, which is the consistent look. And I'd be so happy if a lot of places did this. If they decided, we need to start doing Omnis to save money or something, please do it like this. It makes me so happy. Next we have Yona of the Dawn, and we've got a whole splattering of volumes, so let's go. We have 1 to 3, 5, 8, 11, 12, 13, and then 16, I think, all the way to 28, and then 30 all the way to 37, so almost up to date. I'm missing 29, I'm missing 14 and 15, and then I'm missing a bunch of earlier volumes around here. Now, I know they are reprinting because I think all 3 of these I picked up fairly recently, and then I've mostly just tried to stay up to date with the series as and when I can. I have only read the first 2 volumes because I was like, I'll find some more first, and then that was about 2 years ago. So I'm just going to hold off till I have the gaps that I need, and then I'll do a binge, I think. I know a lot of people love the series and praise it really highly, so I'm worried that I'm going to have expectations for it again, so I'm trying to ignore what people say about the series, even if it's just positive. Next we have Yotsuba 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. So yeah, I'm missing a few volumes. I'm missing volume 2, 9, and 13. I'm not sure if there's a 16. I read volume 1 and I loved it so much. I want to find volume 2 so bad. I got most of these from Forbidden Planet Manchester, so 3 for 2 price, it was about £6.60. It's so sweet. It is just about a girl called Yotsuba and daily slice of life kind of shenanigans. I actually bought the Japanese volumes for my partner because it's meant to be a really good series to try to read if you're learning Japanese, because it's kind of aimed at kids, so it's quite basic and simplistic. I think he's read like 1 maybe of them, and he said it was really interesting. I'm just now on the hunt to find the ones I need. Young Girls Don't Play Fighting Games 1 and 2, and I am behind. I think there's like 4 out now. This is set in an old girls' school where video games and ungirl-like behaviour is not allowed, and then this character loves fighting games and secretly plays them in an abandoned classroom, and someone happens along and they start playing fighting games together. It's kind of been all that's happened so far. I haven't read volume 2. It was interesting. It did pique my interest. Next we have The Young Master's Revenge 1 to 4, and that is complete. I haven't started reading that though. Got all of them either second-hand or in Travelling Man, I think. Next we have Your Line April 14569. Very behind on this. I can't remember how many there are. It's like 11 or 12. Most of them again got on second-hand. Just slowly but surely. I'm not rushing to pick the series up. I'm not sure if I'm going to enjoy it. I understand it's meant to be a sad series. I don't tend to like sad series, but I understand it's like a classic. And I was interested and I started picking it up, and then I learned it was sad. So I now want to complete it. As we have Your Name 1 to 3 and Your Name Earthbound 1 and 2. So I think this is based on the movie, not the movie's based on the manga. I think it's the other way around. Basically just follows the plot of the movie to my understanding. And then 1 and 2 Earthbound are like side stories around the characters, which are quite interesting. I don't think it's really made me want to try watching the movie though. I was quite happy reading the manga. I enjoyed this more out of some of the other manga versions of movies that I've read. Next we have a few Yu-Gi-Oh volumes, Duelist 2 and 13 and Millennium World 4. Got these ages ago because I was like, I'm going to collect all the Yu-Gi-Ohs, and this was like a few years ago. And then I just never really got back into trying to pick them up. I'm not sure if I even could now. There was a whole bunch of surge of popularity when the artist unfortunately passed away, and the prices of them went up quite a lot, so I might just hold off and see. Next we have Eucharism 3 and 4, and it is a full volume series, so I just need to pick up 1 and 2 and then that's complete. I haven't started reading it, I don't have early volumes. As we have Yuna and the Hot Spring 1 to 5, 9, 11, 13, 15. Again, very behind because I think 20 something's just come out, and I did pick up some of those a few weeks ago, but they're just not on the shelves. But I'm missing a lot of earlier volumes like 6 to 8 and 10, 12, 14. I read volume 1 when I picked it up, and I picked this up like 2017, a long time ago. Then I didn't pick up any more for ages because they never popped up in store. Now they're always in store, and I've just fallen way behind.
It was very ecchi. I remember that. Well, it's Ghost Ship. It's Ghost Ship. Of course, it's going to be ecchi. And look at those spines. They're not safe for work spines. Next, we have Yu Yu Hakusho Volume 1. Very, very happy to see this one. I saw it in Leeds like a week ago. They'd gotten a restock of this Volume 1. I'd always wanted to try this one. I wanted to try this one. I wanted to try Slam Dunk. And seeing Volume 1 of this in store, I was like, it's brought me hope that there'll be more reprints, and the reprints will make their way to the UK and they'll make their way to in-store, so I can get them as part of a 3 for 2, most importantly. I think it's the same manga artist as Hunter x Hunter, and it's complete somewhere in the mid-teens, I think. Finally, final volume series on this shelf is Som 100 Bucket List of the Dead. 1 to 8, up to date. Ooh, that rhymed! So, this is a post-apocalyptic. Our main character is a zombie to the system as a salaryman, not having a great time, hates it, wants to get out. Zombie apocalypse hits, and he's like, great, amazing, I'm free, I'm so happy. And he makes a bucket list of 100 things he wants to do before he becomes a zombie, and the series is just him trying to complete that bucket list. I know a lot of people find the series really boring and have dropped it. I, to be honest, hate zombies. I hate zombies so much. I don't like zombies in the slightest at all. Why did you pick it up? I'm sure you're saying, well, have you seen how rainbow these spines are? Yeah, that was why I picked them up. And now that I've started reading, I need to find some closure. I need to see the series complete. I need to see how it wraps up. I need to see what causes it. I need to see how they fight it. I need closure now at this point. I've not read 7 and 8 yet. I've only read up to 6. And I did actually kind of enjoy, was it 5 or 6? It definitely, it's not a hard read. It's a very quick read. There's not much to it. I also think it's the same manga artist as Alice in Borderland, which feels really weird because they feel like this feels way more lighthearted than that. But that purple on volume 8 is lovely. And with that, we've finished filming the last shelf. Oh my god! Or so we might think, but there is some more manga up there. Even when I'm super high, I still can't properly reach these volumes. So these volumes are the really big volumes that don't quite fit nicely with the manga. There's not too many, so they're on top of one of the shelves. So first we have Battle Angel Alita, Deluxe Edition Volume 1. Again, actually quite a lot of the ones that appear at my partner's. This is his. I know there's quite a few of these, and he wants to get some more this year. I know there's also a box set, but I don't think he realised when he got this one. But he absolutely loves sci-fi series, so he enjoyed this one. He wants to get more. Next we have, now it looks like it says Blame, but everywhere I hear it said is calling it Blam. Is it Blame or is it Blam? Master Edition 1 to 6, and I believe that is complete. Again, partners, he adores it. He loves it so much. It was, I think, one of the series that made him start to pick up other series from this manga artist. And then on top we have this one called Black Tights Wide, which is kind of, is it Faku? It's basically an art book of a bunch of people have drawn girls in tights and then written a little bit about them. It's a collection of just art, and it's really quite interesting actually. Next we have Cardcaptor Sakura Collector's Edition Volume 1. When I realised how hard it was to collect the smaller Cardcaptor Sakuras, I decided to pick up these because they are quite nice. 1 or 2 series that is a bit taller than the rest is okay. I am way behind. There's a whole bunch of these and I don't have them yet, and I don't know if I'll collect them this year. They're quite expensive. I managed to get this one for like £13, which isn't too bad. Then we have the Ghost in the Shell Human Error Processor, and Ghost in the Shell, what does that say? Man-Machine Interface. Again, all my partners. He enjoys them a lot. I'm not sure if he had them before we started dating actually. He's had them quite a while. Next we have Knights of Sidonia 1 and 2, and he is behind on these. I want him to get more because of the rainbow, but they're expensive, so he's like, let me hold off for a bit. I'm like, no, you need them because of the rainbow. And I'm actually going to jump to this one first, which is Tekken King Crit Black and White, and that is, I think, a deluxe all-in-one edition. Another one of my partners he enjoyed. I'm not sure it's my kind of thing based on what he said, but I might try reading it one day. And then we have the Shonen Jump that I said a friend got me with the World Trigger character on it. There's some really neat chapters in this. It has the one with, in My Hero Academia, where All Might is fighting, I can never remember which way around it is, the bad guy, and then Midoriya and
Bakugo there shouting like we believe in you, and it's like, oh, this is it. And then there's a whole bunch of plushies over there, like nice Kirby and slime and a car. And then the final manga-ish I want to talk about in this collection tour is the Manga Guide 2 series. So in Japan, I think there's a load more than there are in English. I think I've got all the ones in English unless some have come out in the last year and I've missed them. These are all like educational guides with a manga story alongside them. So we have the Manga Guide to Biochemistry, Manga Guide to Calculus, Manga Guide to Cryptography, Manga Guide to Databases, Electricity, Linear Algebra, Microprocessors, Molecular Biology, Physics, Physiology, Regression Analysis, Relativity Statistics, and the Universe. Oh, you can hear my voice. I remember when I was a GCSE student, so around 15, 16, my dad bought me some of these to help with some of my studies. I think I had calculus, electricity, physics, and statistics, and then he got me some more later on, and then I bought the ones I was missing a few years ago. I genuinely got my statistics GCSE because of this book. This taught me so much more and better than the textbook I had. Basically, there is kind of a story where this girl, her dad works in stats, and he wants to try and get her interested. She's not bothered. And then he has a colleague come by the house for dinner one day, and he's very attractive, and she's like, well, now I want to learn about statistics so I can hang around with him. And she talks to her dad, and he's like, I'll get you a tutor. And he hires this guy who's like not the colleague, and she's a bit down, and she's like, well, okay, I'll take it. I'll just learn about statistics, and then when I can talk to him, I can impress him, and then he'll want to date me. And like, there is a whole story, and there's like can I pull it down? There's a whole story, and they talk about like proper statistics and use it in like real life examples, and I just found it helped so much to actually be able to understand, and this is bringing back memories, so much memories. I love statistics, I love stats and graphs and stuff, and so good. It's so good. If like you're doing any of these maybe studies, you might find these help you, or if you've got a kid maybe who's doing studies in these topics, that you might find it helps them. I would recommend these so much. Please don't skip over these. And again, another thing I've never seen anyone else have in their collection. I've never even heard anyone else talk about them. So I actually ended up going a bit further than my GCSE statistics. It started going to A-level statistics, which again helped me when I started doing my A-level statistics, because I already knew some bits because of this. So this is the one that I used the most. I also used physics and electricity a fair amount, and some of them are just quite interesting, like the Guide to Relativity, the Universe. I absolutely adore universe, space, astrophysics. I did astrophysics as a free elective at university. I absolutely adored it. Would definitely recommend. I can't speak highly enough of this series, but I never ever see anyone talking about it, which is so sad. And with that, we have reached the end of the manga collection tour.